So we'll be bringing in Blair Baillargeon. He graduated from MFRE in 2017, and he's currently in Regina, Saskatchewan, working as a senior data scientist at FCC, so Farm Credit Canada. I think he should be coming up right now.
There.
All right.
Hey, Blair.
Hello,
Hey, Blair.
everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hi, Blair. How are you? We can hear you.
Awesome. I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. We are doing great. Thank you so much for your time being here today, talking to us, talking to potential applicants for the MFRE program. We appreciate it. And let's just start with, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, for sure. So again, my name is Blair Baillargeon. I was a graduate of the MFRE cohort in 2017. So yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about the program. I loved my time in the program. Originally grew up in the prairies. I did my undergrad in economics and finance at the University of Saskatchewan. I knew that I wanted to keep pursuing education a little bit farther. I kept noticing I would spend a lot of time on Indeed.ca and job boards, and I'd kind of look at, what am I interested in doing? We spend a lot of our lives in work, so pretty important to me to be able to find a job that I would really, really enjoy. And I kept noticing that a lot of the jobs that I was interested in, it was kind of like master's was kind of prerequisite for a lot of them. Not always the case, but I did want to just up the odds there. I also really liked what I was studying, really liked the upper year economics courses. Started getting into courses like economic forecasting and econometrics, where it's like, oh, I really love this stuff. So yeah, as I was looking through graduate studies programs, there were a few things that stuck out to me about the MFRE that just kind of spoke to me. Certainly that it's a one-year program is awesome. I love the courses that were being offered. Really like being able to do a graduate research project. To me, that was pretty big because, you can either do the graduate research project or, maybe if you want to go do a PhD, maybe research is for you. But for me, I love the idea of, maybe I can get some hands-on experience with a company that I might like to work with, or maybe be able to get paid while I'm doing my master's. So there was a lot of pros, and then certainly that it's in Vancouver. So I really like spending time in Vancouver too. So spent some time out there as well. I did my graduate research project at Farm Credit Canada. Like I said, I really liked the econometrics, and I was doing econometrics there. Primarily forecasting, like building nowcasting models and stuff like that for Canadian livestock. And I stuck on with them for a little while. And then I moved over to a company called SaskTel, where I was building machine learning models to predict like when churn on their internet and their TV subscriptions and stuff like that. And so from there, I really liked, then I started seeing kind of the bridge between the machine learning, which was like, I love the econometrics, and then you realize, all this advanced statistics and the math, and then you start doing a little computer science and some optimization, and hop, skip, and a jump, boom, you're building machine learning models. So yeah, I really love that. And then so just really getting into SQL coding, Python coding. Really enjoyed the video you shared earlier. That was really awesome. I didn't know you were offering SQL and Python in the program now, but I think that just speaks to the quality of the program, the nimbleness of the program to start offering those things. So those weren't offered when I was there. And if I had advice for anyone who's doing the program, when lots of people ask me, how did you get into data science? Certainly learning SQL and Python is very helpful, as well as, many of the other skills in the program. So anyways, I'm kind of meandering in a long-winded way to say, now I work as a senior data scientist and technical team lead back at Farm Credit Canada on an operations intelligence team. And so I'm all over the map right now with what I work on. Sometimes it's machine learning solutions, sometimes it's end-to-end solutions. Right now I'm very much playing the role of kind of like a data engineer or a data architect, because our company is moving from having data live in relational database management systems that basically sit in Montreal, but now instead of sitting in Montreal, all the data is moved into the cloud on AWS. So those are just servers sitting in the US. So all else equal, it's not really that different, but it does mean the data is living somewhere else. And it means now we're using all cloud-based tools for data engineering, plumbing our data from, a relationship manager. They're sitting there with a farmer. They say, hey, I want to build a barn. They submit that loan. That loan goes into a data system, travels through the system. And then ultimately we do a lot of the data wrangling that ultimately pushes it to, finalized tables, where then ultimately like a reporting tool can grab it and it can say, hey, here's the summarized results for, Saskatchewan, here's the summarized results for BC, and then break down to the specific offices and specific relationship managers. And you can imagine all that kind of stuff. So yeah, the job's a little all over the place right now, but I love that. I love that about it. Keeps me excited. It's a lot of variety.
Thank you for that. There's so much good stuff in what you said. I can definitely relate to that idea of coming off undergrad. You're like, what do I want to do with my life after, and so finding that kind of area or sector at least to focus on and narrow down. And you've been very successful in getting a job and getting promoted, getting a high level position in data, even just 4 years after you graduated. Like the path that it's been for you and really sticking to data and improving your skills there, and now in the senior data scientist role is very impressive. So congratulations. Also, you're speaking some of the language that we use at MFRE. So all the data terms, data wrangling, Python, SQL, all those things. And we're always on the lookout for what the industry needs and what the workplace is looking for in terms of these skills. So that's why we've added that layer of data workshops to be able to do that, because we all know that data is becoming such a big part of the workforce and a competitive advantage for many companies. And so we need graduates and people who are keen on data, who understand it, who can work with it, who can communicate what it says. So thank you for shedding some light on your path and kind of what you're doing right now, because I think it helps potential interested applicants. What aspect of the MFRE program really helped you kind of define data as the direction that you want your career to go in?
Certainly the courses in econometrics were super helpful. So I'm not sure if Mike Johnson is still there, but I know 4 years ago, he was the one teaching econometrics.
Yeah.
And yeah, those courses were just awesome to understand the math, understand the stats. Those were really great. With Colleen Wiseman and Karen Taylor, they were both teaching fairly advanced finance courses, and those finance courses were super helpful. So, no matter what you're doing, to understand balance sheets and understanding how that works. Now I work at a bank, so that's super helpful. But wherever you work, unfortunately, it does often come down to the numbers, where the things that make sense, and someone who can break it down and turn those into simple terms, I find lots of them are very successful because they can kind of speak the business language, and they can understand the difference between what's actually like creating efficiencies and what are the valuable things to do. Because one thing I often notice is, we bring a lot of PhDs on our team, and this is nothing against anyone with a PhD, but I think sometimes when you don't have that PhD background, sometimes we get these people on and they just want to do the most complex thing in the world all the time. Whereas, when you take these business courses like Karen Taylor's and Colleen Wiseman's, you think a little bit different. You think about value a little bit more. You think about what value is being generated just in a different way that I think I've watched lots of, business students come in and be very successful. I've seen some of the MFRE students come in on our economics teams. They've been very successful students that were, after my cohort. So anyways, yeah, I just really think the finance courses were really helpful. So if you're in economics and you're kind of wondering, you're one of those people who kind of straddles that fine line between practicality and pure theory. And again, that's one of the things I really liked about the MFRE program, that was super practical. I found those courses to be extremely practical. I found them to be hands-on and just, pick up lots of the business lingo, lots of the important terms, the important things to think about and to focus on. And I found that that's been very helpful for me, and I've seen it be, very helpful for others as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think what I'm hearing you say too is kind of MFRE allows you to connect the dots between, like, you understand commodities, you understand economic theory, you understand finance and numbers, but you can also kind of holistically wrap it in terms of data analysis, but communication of data, and figuring out like what is value add and what is worth communicating and how to communicate them. So all those things kind of nicely fit into the package, I guess, that we're trying to provide in MFRE. So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was well said. Yeah.
Okay. So that's, if you're listening to this, webinar, is probably a lot of information just in terms of the structure of the program, the graduating project, and then Blair's information as well that he's sharing. Let's take a minute just to kind of pause and allow you guys to type your questions into the Q&A. So we will keep Blair for a few minutes. If you have questions for him, please do ask them now. We'll get through a few questions for Blair, and then we'll move into general Q&A.
Yes, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Okay, and they're starting to trickle in. I'll start with the first one. How much of the Python applications from school have you developed at work?
Good question. So there's kind of two parts to that. So like I said, when I was at MFRE, there was no Python. So unfortunately, I can't say, oh, I learned this at MFRE and then I used it in my job. So I don't know exactly what's being taught there. So maybe I'll give you a moment to speak about that as well, Janelle. But I also did a postgrad in artificial intelligence and machine learning through the University of Texas. And for example, that I use that Python code a lot. And so lots of that is, you know, splitting between when I see problems and I go, yeah, I've seen that before. That's a supervised machine learning problem. Or, oh yeah, I've seen that before. That's an unsupervised machine learning problem. And just being able to go and immediately say, okay, well, I've used that in the course. I go grab my Python code. I don't rewrite it every time. There's not very many coders that I've met who just go and just kind of do it all by memory. It's the beauty is just once you've seen the problem a few times, you become really good at the pattern recognition of, yeah, I've seen that before. Let me steal the code. I'm going to borrow the code. I'm going to input my variables. Sure, maybe you need to change a few things here and there, double check some things. But yeah, tons of that Python has been reused and that's been super valuable. So that's one thing that's awesome about, you know, especially courses where you can do those hands-on projects where you then have that and you recognize it later. And so to just double up with that, even though I wasn't necessarily using Python, certainly when I started with the Ag Econ team and I was doing econometrics, we were doing lots of econometrics and programming in Michael Johnson's course. And it was like immediately right off the hop, we were using, you know, Stata, and I think I was using econometric views, which was something more from my undergrad, but lots of those things we were immediately using. But there's certainly something to be said for just hammering out projects and kind of having them in your back pocket for later.
Well, you'll be pleased to know, Blair, that those are exactly kind of some of the reasons that we've, you know, set up this position as a data analytics coordinator, which is what Krisha does, but actually teaching the courses, separate workshops looking at developing and understanding Python. So a series of workshops, as well as R, focusing on R, because we find a lot of students are coming in and they know their Stata quite well. We also have a series of Tableau ones. So we teach them as sort of independent workshops that they take, but then we've also integrated those actual software applications to be used in the actual courses themselves. So they're doing assignments and projects, and they are using Tableau, Python, and R associated with it. Yeah. So it's a nice combination, and the students find it busy, but they find it very powerful. So it certainly came from the idea that that's what agencies, you know, government agencies are moving towards, Power BI, different things like those, as well as independent firms. So that was the basis of it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right on. And I've been on our hiring panels quite a lot for junior level data analysts or data scientists or business intelligence analysts. And certainly it's not necessarily the case that we'll always remove, like it depends. Like, I mean, that's always part of the lottery, is you just never know what it's going to look like in the applicant pool. But certainly the ones that'll surface to the top, even before we'll even get them, just usually because there's so many applicants. But someone will have already looked at them, whether it's, you know, a computer or a human, unfortunately, but we will immediately be looking for, do they use the tools we use? And that's a big leg up. So we don't necessarily use Tableau anymore, but like you said, if you're getting the students hands-on with Tableau and Power BI and Python and SQL, that's just gonna go right through, whether it's a human or a computer, and it's just gonna bubble your resume right up to the top. And those are hot in-demand skills right now.
Good. It's good to hear.
Yeah. Blair, how does an MFRE student make the most of the MFRE experience? Because you've obviously, you know, you came into MFRE, you were very engaged, very motivated in this, and then you came out of it very successful in the last like 4 years that you've been working. So what's your advice, I guess, for people in the program and how they can make the most out of the MFRE 1 year experience?
Yeah, so there's a few things. The first one is just have fun and enjoy it, because I'm like, maybe I just always have rose-colored glasses for the past, but I just have such fond memories about it. So just enjoy it while it lasts. It's a good time. So yeah, one of the really big things though is be deliberate about how you plan the courses. That's the beauty of the MFRE program too, is sometimes if you look at master's programs, you'll kind of realize, oh, there's all these courses and I need to do these specific ones. And there's not really a lot of room for deviation. But that is one of the really great things about the MFRE program, is that if you look at it, it's like, whoa, this is a program that offers a lot of courses, and just be deliberate going in. So one thing that I recommend, and I've done this advice myself, is spend a lot of time on job boards, because I do genuinely believe that served me incredibly well, and I've seen it serve others incredibly well. Just be aware of, you only have to read so many job postings, get a good idea of what you like, what you're looking for, what the employer is looking for, match it up with the courses you're taking, and then just be bold to reach out to people over LinkedIn. It's interesting now that, like, I used to be an analyst, and the moment my LinkedIn title changed to data scientist, now it's like I get lots of people reaching out to me over there, and I love it. Like, I don't have any problem when someone reaches out to me. I'm like, hey, right on for you. Like, that's great. I'm more than happy. Like, lots of times I'll just give them my number if you want to call me, and we'll chat for a half hour. All good. I've been lucky. I'd like to just share if anyone can help. If I can help anyone else, that's great. So reach out to people over LinkedIn, and they'll be direct with you about whether you'd be a good fit for their company. Usually I like to think usually they'll be direct with you about whether you're a good fit for their firm, or what it would take to get in with them, and that kind of thing. So yeah, that would be my general advice. Just be deliberate, plan it out, think ahead, and work to the goal.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I like that advice too. I'm gonna take some of that and use it for our students. Last question for you. Do you see artificial intelligence becoming a standard in agriculture?
Can you just expand on that a little bit? Like a standard in what way?
Maybe just in the way that agriculture kind of operates, maybe primary agriculture, if AI is becoming kind of more and more common and standard.
Oh, certainly it will. And so I work for a bank that is essentially a bank for the ag industry. So I have a lot of insight into this and see, where a lot of the money flows. But one thing that is very clear, and sometimes you talk with people about like farms, and they kind of think, oh, that's that nice mom and pop shop out there, and it's kind of seems like it might be this thing that's not advanced. It would blow people's minds if they came out to most of like the giant farms out in Saskatchewan or Manitoba, or even out in Vancouver. There's an amazing amount of technology that goes into like, even if you think of tractors these days and the amount of machine learning and artificial intelligence going on, I would say it's like almost one of our most advanced industries in Canada. It's actually really, really amazing, and it's only going to drive further in that direction. Because one thing that's amazing, and if you spend time with business owners, I mean, I think of farmers almost as the epitome of this. They are very serious about dollars and cents, and they are very serious about efficiency. They are just efficiency right to the ground. And the thing is, the beauty is that artificial intelligence certainly just drives towards greater and greater levels of efficiency. So it's a matter of time. I mean, everyone's working out the kinks, and like I said, I work with ML and AI, and sometimes it seems so crazy and mysterious, but it's mostly just optimization, math, and stats. And so it's getting there. It's not there that to the point where robots are taking over, but I don't know. I think the next 5-10 years is going to be fascinating for sure. I do think AI is going to move us forward for sure.
Yeah, and we're certainly seeing that trend in agriculture too. So in this area.
Mhm.
All right. That's all the questions the audience has for you, Blair. Again, thank you so much for your time, your insights, your advice, your kind of what you see in the industry, and for sharing about your experience, your job, your views. We really appreciate it.